The film Charlie's Angels, 1976, captivated millions of global viewers with the image of three beautiful and talented female detectives. But that was only the glossy exterior. Behind the million-dollar smiles, a secret world was poised to consume them: tragic deaths, solitary battles against cancer, and personal tragedies that rocked Hollywood. This is not just a story about glory. This is a journey to uncover the brutal truth behind the stars and to honor the people who wrestled with fate. Let's pull back the curtain on the tragedy. Kate Jackson as Sabrina Duncan. Cancer knocked twice. Kate Jackson, born on October 29, 1948, in Birmingham, Alabama, USA. She played the role of Sabrina Duncan at the age of 28. Sabrina was considered the most rational and brainy of the angels, often serving as the strategist and unofficial leader of the group. She was beloved by audiences for her intelligence, professionalism, and as a contrast to the purely glamorous appearance of her co-stars. Jackson was the most seasoned actress of the original trio, and was the one who suggested the name Angels for the show, making her an integral part of the brand's history. Despite being the breakthrough star of the series, Kate Jackson paid the heaviest price for that success. She often worked 14 to 16 hours a day. Exhaustion and continuous disagreements with producer Aaron Spelling over creative control and working hours forced her to leave Charlie's Angels after the third season. She once bitterly admitted, "I couldn't do one more episode." Most regrettably, this decision also made her miss the iconic role of Mrs. Kramer in the Oscar-winning film Kramer vs. Kramer 1979, because the producer refused to release her, an event she described as heartbreaking. However, the greatest tragedy struck when Jackson was on the verge of re-establishing herself. In 1987, at the age of 39, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. She had to undergo a partial mastectomy, chemotherapy, and radiation therapy. This was a huge shock, heavily impacting her psychology and career. The tragedy did not stop there. Just 2 years later, in 1989, the breast cancer recurred. This time, Kate Jackson made the painful decision to have a full mastectomy. This prolonged battle took away many valuable career years, causing her to almost disappear from the screen. Additionally, she was financially defrauded by her advisor, losing millions of dollars in the early 2000s, further complicating her financial situation. Currently, at the age of 76, as of 2025, Kate Jackson has withdrawn from Hollywood and lives a private life on a farm in Virginia. She dedicates her time to raising her adopted son, Charles Taylor Jackson, and actively participates in charitable activities for cancer prevention organizations. She is a symbol of a brave survivor. Her estimated current net worth is around 10 million USD. This figure is considered modest compared to her skyrocketing salary during her peak, reflecting a career downturn and the enormous medical costs she had to bear. Farrah Fawcett as Jill Munroe. The solitary and brutal battle. Farrah Fawcett, born on February 2, 1947, in Corpus Christi, Texas, USA. She stepped into the role of Jill Munroe at 29 and immediately became a pop culture phenomenon. Jill Munroe was not just an angel. She was the sex symbol and the most radiant image of California beauty of the 70s. She was passionately beloved not only for her acting, but also for her famous feathered blonde hair and the sense of freedom exuded by her character. Although she only starred for one season, Farrah defined the brand's explosion, laying the foundation for the series' enduring success. However, immediately after the film's success, Farrah faced immense pressure. She was quickly labeled a sex symbol rather than a serious actress. Her decision to leave the series after the first season to prove her acting ability led to a prolonged and tense legal battle, fracturing her relationship with the producer. Her personal life was also tumultuous and fraught with difficulties. Her complex, decades-long and turbulent relationship with actor Ryan O'Neal was a separate tragedy. They had one son together, Redmond, who struggled with addiction. This troubled family life with public arguments, separations, and reconciliations brought Farrah much pain and psychological stress. The most devastating tragedy struck in 2006 when she was diagnosed with a rare form of anal adenocarcinoma. This was a solitary and painful battle that Farrah bravely documented in her personal documentary, Farrah's Story. She pursued various treatments, including experimental therapies abroad, but the disease continued to progress severely. Her final images, frail and exhausted in a hospital bed, were a stark contrast to the radiant image of the angel of yesteryear, deeply upsetting millions of fans. Farrah Fawcett passed away on June 25, 2009, at the age of 62 due to cancer. Her ashes were interred at Westwood Village Memorial Park in Los Angeles. Her estimated net worth at the time of her death was about $20 million USD. This figure is considered modest compared to her global influence. The majority of her assets upon her death were bequeathed to her son and the Farrah Fawcett Foundation to fund cancer research, showing her prioritization of family and medicine in her final years. Jaclyn Smith as Kelly Garrett, battling illness in silence. Jaclyn Smith, born on October 26, 1945 in Houston, Texas, USA. She took on the role of Kelly Garrett when she was 31. Kelly was the warmest, most feminine, and kind-hearted angel. In stark contrast to the early departures of her co-stars Farrah Fawcett and Kate Jackson, Jaclyn was the only actress to appear in all 5 seasons of the original series, becoming the stable central face of the brand. She was beloved for her classic beauty grace and rare consistency within the cast. Jaclyn's stability on screen was in opposition to the challenges in her personal life. The entertainment industry relentlessly scrutinized her relationships. Jaclyn had to face the pressure of maintaining a perfect image, as well as the breakdown of her first 3 marriages. However, instead of succumbing to tragedy, Smith proved to be a shrewd businesswoman. After Charlie's Angels ended, she not only continued acting, but also pioneered building a fashion empire with a clothing line in collaboration with Kmart. This was a groundbreaking move demonstrating her ability to successfully transition from a Hollywood icon to a powerful businesswoman. Despite her perfect appearance and stable life, Jaclyn also had to undergo a silent health battle. In 2003, she was diagnosed with early-stage breast cancer. Unlike Kate Jackson or Farrah Fawcett, Jaclyn Smith chose to keep this information private for a long time. She only shared her story after successfully recovering from surgery and radiation therapy. This private, quiet fight demonstrates her determination to maintain privacy and control her public image, an invisible pressure that famous stars must endure. Currently at the age of 79, Jaclyn Smith is still a healthy cancer survivor. She continues to maintain a successful fashion business career and lives happily with her 4th husband, a cardiothoracic surgeon. She frequently appears with astonishing youthful looks, inspiring a healthy and positive life. Her estimated current net worth is up to $150 million USD. This massive figure largely comes not from acting salaries, but from her successful business career and ability to build a sustainable personal brand, helping her far surpass her co-stars financially. David Doyle as John Bosley. The warm heart that suddenly stopped. David Doyle, whose birth name was David Fitzgerald Doyle, was born on December 1, 1929, in Omaha, Nebraska, USA. He stepped into the role of John Bosley at the age of 47. Bosley was Charlie's loyal and devoted liaison, the only male character with whom the Angels regularly interacted. He was the warm heart of the agency, providing humor, stability, and reliability. Bosley was beloved for his endearing clumsiness, absolute loyalty, and being a solid anchor amidst the detective's dangerous situations. Like Jaclyn Smith, he was one of only 2 actors to appear in all 115 episodes of the original series. Although he brought laughter and lightness to the screen, David Doyle's private life contained deep sadness. He was a veteran Broadway theater actor before coming to television. The greatest tragedy in his life was the loss of his first wife, Rachel, in 1968 after a long illness. His wife's death left a major wound, forcing him to become a single father, a significant challenge while trying to balance the demanding acting work with caring for his family. His career later stabilized thanks to the role of Bosley, but the emotional burden and family responsibility always weighed heavily on the artist. Unlike the leading actresses who fought cancer for years, David Doyle's death came suddenly and unexpectedly. He passed away on October 26, 1997, just over a month before his 68th birthday. The cause of death was determined to be a heart attack at his home in Los Angeles. His sudden departure shocked fans as he was still considered a vibrant actor and a familiar face. This was a tragic end, showing the fragility of life even for those who often bring joy to others. His ashes were later cremated and given to the family. David Doyle's estimated net worth at the time of his death was about $5 million USD. Although he had a stable career and was associated with a hit series for many years, this figure reflects a reality. The role of sidekick and television actor did not generate the huge fortunes of the top film stars of that era. The legacy he left behind is not money, but the image of the honest, lovable John Bosley, forever the heart of the Townsend agency. John Forsythe as Charles Charlie Townsend, the silent battle with illness. John Forsythe, whose birth name was John Lincoln Freund, was born on January 29, 1918 in Penns Grove, New Jersey, USA. He began his role as Charles Charlie Townsend voiceover at the age of 58. Audiences never saw Charlie's face, but his warm, commanding, and authoritative voice was the center of power for the Townsend agency. Charlie was the soul of the series, the one who delivered assignments to the angels via a speaker beloved for his mystery and witty lines. He was an indispensable character, maintaining a presence in every episode. Throughout his career, Forsythe was the embodiment of elegance, but his life was a series of silent health battles. Even while at the height of his fame with his voiceover role in Charlie's Angels and later as Blake Carrington in Dynasty, he was fighting a serious illness. In 1979, he was diagnosed with colon cancer and had to undergo surgery. This was a secret he tried to keep hidden so as not to affect his professional image and burgeoning career. His quiet victory over the disease showed incredible resilience behind that powerful voice. John Forsythe's career spanned nearly 7 decades. After the show ended, he went on to become a television legend with his role as Blake Carrington. However, his health gradually declined. John Forsythe passed away on April 1, 2010, at the age of 92. The cause of death was announced as pneumonia, a consequence of many years battling cancer and old age. His passing closed a great chapter in American television history. He was cremated and his ashes were given to the family. John Forsythe's estimated net worth at the time of his death was about $40 million USD. This figure significantly exceeded all his co-stars, primarily due to the massive success of the series Dynasty and other lucrative commercial contracts he secured after Charlie's Angels. This fortune is proof of a long, successful career, despite his numerous life-and-death challenges. He transformed a voice-only role into a rich and enduring legacy. David Ogden Stiers as Scott Woodville, the artist who lived in fear for a lifetime. David Ogden Stiers, whose birth name was David Allen. Ogden Stiers was born on October 31, 1942, in Peoria, Illinois, USA. He had a guest role as Scott Woodville in an episode of Charlie's Angels at the age of 34. Although a fleeting role, Stiers's appearance reflected the rising career of a talented actor. However, he is not remembered much for this role, but for his later iconic portrayal of Major Charles Emerson Winchester III in the military comedy series MASH. He was beloved for his ability to portray intellectual, somewhat haughty characters who concealed deep warmth. Despite achieving great success and 3 Emmy nominations for his role in MASH, David Ogden Stiers chose an extremely private life, shunning the commotion of Hollywood. He left Los Angeles and moved to a small town in Oregon, focusing on his greatest passion, classical music, where he worked as a conductor for several symphony orchestras. His personal tragedy was his struggle with his sexual orientation for many decades. Although he was openly gay, he hid this for much of his career, for fear of discrimination and losing roles, especially during the peak of MASH. He only publicly came out in 2009 at the age of 66. The fear of living a lie, a tragedy of self-denial, and the pressure to maintain a public image silently haunted his life. In his final years, he also battled cancer. Although always discreet about his private life, his health battles quietly took his strength. David Ogden Stiers passed away on March 3, 2018 at the age of 75. The cause of death was determined to be bladder cancer. His passing ended an artistic journey and a silent personal struggle. He was cremated and his ashes were scattered in the area off the coast of Florence, Oregon, where he had found peace. David Ogden Stiers' estimated net worth at the time of his death was about $12 million USD. This fortune is the result of a long acting and voiceover career demonstrating quiet talent and dedication far from the showy gimmicks of Hollywood. Kim Basinger as Linda Oliver bankruptcy due to panic disorder. Kim Basinger, born on December 8, 1953 in Athens, Georgia, USA. She had a guest role as Linda Oliver in an episode of Charlie's Angels at the age of 24, when her career was just beginning on the small screen. Although a brief role, it was a springboard for one of Hollywood's most explosive beauties. Kim Basinger became known to the public for her cool, deadly charm and her versatility in complex roles, later elevating her to the ranks of film superstars. Basinger's film career soared far beyond her humble starting point. She became a classic sex symbol of Hollywood through films like 9½ Weeks and peaked with an Oscar for L.A. Confidential. However, this dazzling spotlight concealed dramatic personal struggles. Kim Basinger publicly battled severe panic disorder and agoraphobia, a condition that made her fear leaving her home and debilitating her in social situations. Having to maintain a glamorous and confident image on the red carpet while inwardly wrestling with unnamed fears was a painful tragedy she endured. Not just an internal struggle, Kim Basinger's life was also shaken by dramatic legal and financial disputes. In 1993, she was ordered to pay $8.1 million USD for breaching a verbal contract, withdrawing from the film Boxing Helena. This lawsuit forced her to declare bankruptcy and caused massive financial and reputational damage. Although the compensation amount was later reduced, this long legal battle exposed the fragility of agreements and the stress that stars endure. Later, her tumultuous divorce and lengthy custody battle with actor Alec Baldwin also continually dominated media coverage, pushing her personal life into a vortex of controversy. Currently at the age of 71, Kim Basinger continues to be active in the film industry and is a strong advocate for mental health awareness. She uses her personal story to help others facing similar circumstances. She is still alive. Kim Basinger's estimated current net worth is about $20 million USD. This figure proves that she overcame the bankruptcy crisis and lawsuits, maintaining a stable career thanks to her notable roles and substantial cinematic legacy, although legal fees and disputes took a large portion of her earnings. Tom Selleck as John O'Leary. The star, missed by infamy. Tom Selleck, whose birth name is Thomas William Selleck, was born on January 29, 1945, in Detroit, Michigan, USA. He took on the guest role of John O'Leary in an episode of Charlie's Angels at the age of 31. Although just a supporting role, Selleck quickly became one of Hollywood's most charismatic male actors, remembered for his famous mustache, strong masculine demeanor, and charming smile. He is a symbol of late success and perseverance. Tom Selleck's early career was a long period of struggling with small roles, including his appearance in Charlie's Angels. The biggest tragedy in his career was not a scandal, but a fateful missed role. He was chosen to play the legendary lead role of Indiana Jones in Raiders of the Lost Ark, 1981. However, due to his contract obligations with the television series Magnum P.I., he was forced to decline this once-in-a-lifetime film opportunity. Although Magnum P.I. subsequently became an immensely successful series and elevated him to superstar status, this decision remains a mark of regret in cinematic history. The fact that he had to choose between a stable television role and a great film opportunity illustrates the tension between reality and the Hollywood dream. Selleck's personal life is relatively stable compared to many of his colleagues. After his first marriage ended, he married Jilly Mack and has maintained a private family life. He is known as a family man, living away from the glamour of Hollywood, dedicating much time to his ranch. However, his career was not without legal trouble. In 2015, he was sued by a water management agency for allegedly stealing water to irrigate his ranch during a severe drought in California. Although the case was eventually settled, it damaged the man of integrity cowboy image he had built. Currently, at the age of 80, Tom Selleck continues his persistent acting career, famous for his lead role as Frank Reagan in the series Blue Bloods. He is one of the most respected television actors, maintaining a rare consistency and clean image. He is alive and still working. Tom Selleck's estimated current net worth is about 45 million USD. This fortune is a testament to an extremely successful and long-running television career, especially his roles in Magnum P.I. and Blue Bloods, along with smart real estate investments. He turned a difficult choice in the past into a major financial and career success. Tommy Lee Jones as Aram Kinsky. The calm before the storm of power. Tommy Lee Jones, born on September 15, 1946, in San Saba, Texas, USA. He was a guest actor in Charlie's Angels with the role of Aram Kinsky at the age of 30 when his career was still finding its footing. Although this role is not widely remembered by audiences, it is part of the journey that led Tommy Lee Jones to become one of Hollywood's greatest and most respected actors, known for his rugged demeanor, intense gaze, and distinctive gravelly voice. Unlike many of his colleagues, Tommy Lee Jones is a well-educated intellectual, a graduate of the prestigious Harvard University, where he was once roommates with former U.S. Vice President Al Gore. However, he had to start his career humbly. Tommy Lee Jones's tragedy was not illness, but the persistent struggle for recognition. For many years, he accepted small roles, including villainous roles on television, before exploding onto the scene as a film star through thrilling action roles and later iconic roles in The Fugitive, Men in Black, and an Oscar for JFK. His career is proof that talent and intelligence will ultimately overcome a humble starting point. Outside the spotlight, his personal life is covered by a calm discretion completely opposite to his tumultuous acting career. He is a man of Texas, a professional polo player, and owns a large ranch. He has been married 3 times, with the first 2 ending in divorce. Although he always tried to keep his private life secret, the stress and pressure in family relationships, particularly balancing a constantly traveling film career with life on the ranch, were always a challenge. Currently, he is married to his 3rd wife, Dawn Laurel, and lives a nearly reclusive life, only appearing for new film projects. Currently at the age of 79, Tommy Lee Jones remains one of the world's leading actors and is still alive. He is famous for his ability to choose roles with depth and frequently appears in major motion pictures. Tommy Lee Jones's estimated current net worth is about 100 million USD. This massive fortune is the result of a long-lasting film career, especially lucrative contracts with blockbusters like Men in Black. He is one of the few guest actors in Charlie's Angels to achieve the greatest financial and artistic heights, transforming his late-blooming career into an empire. Robert Loggia as Paul Foshay, memory wiped away by Alzheimer's. Robert Loggia, whose birth name was Salvatore Loggia, was born on January 3, 1930 in New York City, New York, USA. He was a guest actor in Charlie's Angels with the role of Paul Foshay at the age of 46. He was a true craftsman of acting, known for his ability to play tough, rough characters, often police officers, detectives, or figures associated with the underworld. Although not a glamorous film star, Loggia was respected for his consistency and a career that spanned over 6 decades. Robert Loggia's career was not an explosion, but a steady climb. He was not a top-tier star, but an indispensable face in many classic films like Scarface and Big. The great tragedy in his career was his necessity to accept numerous supporting roles despite his superior dramatic acting talent. His career is proof that Hollywood often prioritizes appearance over pure acting ability. However, his persistence earned him an Oscar nomination for his role in Jagged Edge 1985, a late but deserved recognition. Loggia's personal life was more private than his rugged career. He was married twice and was known as a family man. His biggest tragedy was the silent battle with Alzheimer's disease in his final years. This is a terrifying disease for an artist who relies on memory and expressive ability. He was diagnosed in 2010, but the family kept the information private. Witnessing the cognitive ability and memory of a great actor gradually being erased by an incurable disease was a heartbreaking end. Robert Loggia passed away on December 4, 2015 at the age of 85. The cause of death was complications from Alzheimer's disease at his home in Los Angeles. His passing left a void in the hearts of fans of deep supporting roles. He was interred at Westwood Village Memorial Park in Los Angeles. Robert Loggia's estimated net worth at the time of his death was about 10 million USD. This figure reflects the financial stability from a long-running career and solid acting contracts over many decades, even though he mainly played supporting roles. His legacy lies in his persistence and versatility, not in enormous figures. Mary Woronov as Cardinal. The Battle with Psychological Darkness. Mary Woronov, born on December 8, 1943 in Brooklyn, New York, USA. She had a guest role as Cardinal in an episode of Charlie's Angels at the age of 33. Although just a supporting role on television, Mary Woronov is widely known as the Queen of Cult Cinema and the New York Underground movement. Her career began in the 60s when she was a member of Andy Warhol's The Factory. She was beloved for her eccentric, powerful style and her ability to portray characters with complex psychological depth. Mary Woronov's career was completely separate from mainstream Hollywood. She accepted all roles from low-budget horror films, cult horror films, to independent works, demonstrating rare courage and rebellious spirit. However, her greatest tragedy was her prolonged battle with severe depression and anxiety, a psychological illness that deeply affected her personal life and work. Throughout her youth, especially when working in the chaotic underground art environment, she struggled with addiction and untreated mental health issues. The struggle to maintain sobriety and a career in a world where she felt she did not belong was a smoldering tragedy. Mary Woronov wrote about these painful personal experiences in her memoir, exposing the dark corners of her life and the tension between a creative genius and a wounded soul. Currently at the age of 81, Mary Woronov continues her career in acting, writing, and painting. She has found stability and control over her mental health, becoming a highly influential artist in the independent film scene. She is alive and still active in the arts. Mary Woronov's estimated current net worth is about $300,000 USD. This fortune is considered modest compared to the other actors on the list, reflecting the nature of her career. She primarily worked in independent cinema and art fields that do not generate the huge income of Hollywood blockbusters. However, the artistic legacy and cultural influence she created are invaluable, transcending financial worth. Lauren Tewes as Judy. The Smile Shattered by Addiction. Lauren Tewes, born on October 26, 1953 in Braddock, Pennsylvania, USA. She appeared in the guest role of Judy in an episode of Charlie's Angels at the age of 23. Although this role was insignificant, Tewes quickly became a major television star and is best remembered for her role as the cheerful stewardess Julie McCoy in the hit series The Love Boat soon after. She was the image of on-screen optimism, brightness, and reliability. The dazzling limelight of The Love Boat stood in complete contrast to the personal tragedy Lauren Tewes faced. She was trapped in a severe cocaine addiction spiral throughout her years working on the series. This was a horrifying secret. While millions of viewers watched her as the friendly, always smiling Julie McCoy, in reality, she was battling addiction, which ruined her health and career. This tragedy became a massive psychological and physical burden, forcing her to abandon her iconic role. She once shared that having to hide her addiction while still playing a perfect character was a continuous internal torture. After leaving The Love Boat and failing to recapture the spotlight, Lauren Tewes underwent an arduous struggle for sobriety and recovery. This was a dark chapter in her life as her acting career nearly collapsed, and she had to rebuild her life from scratch. Her perseverance paid off. She overcame her addiction and shifted to a completely new field, becoming a professional chef and nutritional therapist working in rehab centers and special care facilities in Seattle. Currently, at the age of 71, Lauren Tewes is a survivor and a symbol of recovery. She has found a new passion in the culinary arts and uses her personal experience to support those struggling with addiction. She is alive and leads a peaceful, meaningful life. Lauren Tewes' estimated current net worth is about $500,000 USD. This figure reflects that she lost a significant portion of her wealth during her addiction and had to restart her career in a new, non-glamorous field outside of Hollywood. However, her greatest value is the new life and peace she gained back through her own efforts. The stars of Charlie's Angels left us with unforgettable memories and moments of pure entertainment. They were pioneers breaking barriers regarding the image of female empowerment on television. Whether it was Farrah Fawcett with her fiery beauty, Kate Jackson with her sharp intellect, Jaclyn Smith with her enduring consistency, or the powerful voice of John Forsythe and the loyalty of David Doyle, all of them defined an era. However, their real-life stories are a powerful reminder of the deep human struggles against brutal illness, the pressure of fame and scrutiny behind the laughter and the glamorous spotlight. They were great artists who gave their all, but when the cameras turned off, they were also fragile human beings wrestling with private tragedy. Please share in the comments section what moment of one of the angels or the character Bosley touched your heart the most. Which image or story is most ingrained in your memory? Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to encourage us to continue exploring more moving backstage stories and little-known truths about the entertainment world, where glamour always comes with shadow.